Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character listener by me. So let's get into it. Scaramouche. Scaramouche wasn't usually one to throw a tantrum, let alone yell at you. Maybe he was sometimes angry at others, but never at you. He was always able to control that anger around you, not wanting you to be subject to it. But even he had his limits. And it wasn't like he was used to being a saint either. He was someone who lost his temper a lot, and he was doing his absolute best with you. But even then, it was not an excuse for how mad he got. The two of you were supposed to do something. Some sort of, well, it wasn't really a serious mission of sorts. It was something that the two of you wanted to get done. And it was mostly Scaramouche's idea. And you feel guilty that you messed it up. But apparently, that was the end of it with you. Can you ever just do what I say, instead of trying to improvise? Scaramouche. It was dangerous. I didn't know what else to do. Well, if you had listened, then you wouldn't have done that. The only thing that you did was try and change locations, but it messed everything up. The two of you were supposed to be a team, and though you messed it up, the way he was yelling and screaming at you, it scared you. And as you continued to scream at you and yell, you felt tears well up in your eyes, and you flinched. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. Just, please, stop being angry at me. You're scaring me, Scaramouche. He looked at you for a while, and you could see guilt flash across his face for a moment. But then, he just shook his head. I need a break. That's all he said, before leaving. At this point, he didn't know if he cared about you enough anymore. If he was being so upset for selfish reasons, then was this relationship even worth keeping? You had no idea. And honestly, maybe the two of you needed to talk, to settle things out one final time before deciding what to do. Venti. Venti never yelled at anyone. Well, he may have in the past, but it's so rare and almost never occurs nowadays. So seeing him yell, let alone being the one that he's yelling at, that is something in and of itself. It was scary to make him mad, because you would have to go so far to do many things just to get on his nerves like this. But apparently you did, and nothing you could do right now would be able to fix it. So, as he looked at you, angrily, you couldn't help but fidget, tears welling up in your eyes. You knew just how much you messed up, and how this was an irreversible mistake. Well, basically, you broke one of his old friend's instruments. He never truly used them, except one. But this one was very treasured to him, and he had told you countless times not to touch it. And now, there it lay, broken on the floor. So it was well within his right to scream at you. You had disobeyed him. Your curiosity got the best of you, and you had just carried it, to touch it and look at it, and maybe even play a little bit with it. You didn't mean to break it. That was not in your intention. But it happened, and there was no going back now. Venti, I'm sorry about this. I really am. You try and say, grasping at any apology you could get. But then, he looked at you, cold. Get out, Ryan. Venti, Get out! Don't you understand? He yelled, and you couldn't help but want to cry a little bit. And yet, throughout it all, You couldn't blame him, because all of it was your fault. Xiao? Xiao was the only one who was doing this out of love. After all, he wasn't one who usually raised his voice. Even when trying to be intimidating, his anger simply didn't manifest that way. But the reason he screamed at you and yelled like this was a mix of anger and fear and panic. Panic because he loved you, because he cared about you, and because a couple of minutes ago, he was this close to losing you. And that would have broken his heart forever beyond repair. And as he held you right now, shaking you by the shoulders, he continues to scream at you and yell at you. You're reckless, careless, and selfish. You could have died, he says at last. And through the screaming that goes on, his voice eventually breaks and cracks. And you can see his true feelings, the sadness and desperation in his eyes. And you can't help but cry as well. Cry because he's screaming at you. And cry because he loves you and because you scared him so much. And soon enough, you see tears welling up in his eyes as well, as he wraps his arms around you tightly, pulling you close to him, while you hug him back just as tightly, the two of you holding onto one another, like it was all you needed in this universe. I'm sorry, Xiao. I'm sorry. I was being selfish. I thought I could help, but I only worried you more. So stop. Stop trying to help me. I can do fine on my own. But I can't be okay when you're hurt. Please, Wayan. Don't get yourself hurt because of me. That's all I ask. He whispered softly, and you couldn't help but cry, melting into his arms as he held you. And though he wasn't usually this affectionate, he reached out with his hand and stroked your hair gently, the two of you standing in silence before he teleported you home and continued to cuddle with you there. For now, he just wanted this thrill of you, to be able to hold you and feel that you're okay. But you were certainly going to have a talk later.